It's fall! Ah, the change of the seasons. Squirrels hide their nuts. Bears prepare their burrows for the winter. All the little furry animals eat a bunch of food so they can get fat and not freeze to death. And the whole rest of the English-speaking world, they call this time autumn. But here in America, instead of calling it autumn, they call it fall because leaf fall down. Hey everyone, my name's Indigo, my pronouns are they, them, and today on Heavy Metal Makeup we're celebrating Mabon. So I want to give you guys some information about Mabon. Mabon is another name for the Autumnal Equinox in a lot of pagan religions based on like kind of ancient European tradition. So in these pagan religions they had what were called Sabbats. There are a bunch of different ones throughout the year at specific points where the sun and the moon are in relation to the earth. The most important ones are the equinoxes and the solstices. The solstice is the longest day of the year and the shortest day of the year. The longest day in the middle of summer, shortest day in the middle of winter. And then halfway between those points, you have the equinoxes, which are the 2 days of the year where day and night are exactly equal. Like you have the same amount of darkness as light. One happens in spring, one happens in fall, and it signals like the change of the seasons, essentially. The 23rd of September this year was Mabon, or the Autumnal Equinox. And it kicks off a lot of like harvest festivals, a lot of different autumn rituals and things like that. The idea is that you are harvesting energy that you have sown throughout the year. You're preparing to nest for winter, so family themes are important. I celebrate Mabon every year. I use it as a time to kind of take stock of what I've been doing all year so far. What energies do I want to keep from the summer and bring with me into the winter? Where am I now and what decisions got me there? One of the things I love about autumn colors is that when nature goes to sleep, she doesn't do it quietly. She burns down in a blaze of glory, and so I love like the red and the orange and the fieriness. So that's just kind of like the headspace I'm in about this time, and that's what inspired me for this makeup. So we're gonna do this the same way I did the last one, where I'm gonna record myself doing it and then I'm gonna put in a voiceover and insert the products as I go. I feel like that's easier than trying to like hold up the palettes and like talk and like everything else. So I don't want to make this intro super long, but if you want to see how I got to this point, stick around, find out. Alright everybody, for this tutorial I'm gonna skip priming and go right into laying down my base for my eyeshadow. I use my ABH eyeshadow primer and just put that all over my lid. That makes a nice sticky base so that everything I do on top of it will stay put and look really smooth and even. After that, I'm going to go ahead and take my eyeliner and just draw my entire base for my Corpsepaint. I try to make sure that I use pretty cheap eyeliner because you don't want to be using $20 or $30 worth of eyeliner for a single look. At this point, things do not really have to be perfect. I'm just trying to outline everywhere that I want my Corpsepaint to be and get like the basic shape. I'm going to use the same color base on my lips because I want everything to be very monochromatic. It goes with the theme, and in general Corpsepaint is more monochromatic than not, but that's not a hard rule you have to follow. This is a time to just have fun with everything. It's Corpsepaint. It doesn't have to look any particular way other than how you want it to look. It's supposed to be an expression of your individuality and your personality. So I encourage you guys to really have fun with it and just make it look however suits you best. After I lay down my cream liner, I want to go back with some powder from my blood sugar palette just over top to go ahead and lock in the basic shape. The combination of cream and powder makes it really water resistant, so I can go to a show and sweat all night and be in a fog machine and not have to worry about it breaking down. After you get everything locked in, it's time to start moving into the detail work. To start off, I'm going to go ahead and start adding some metallic sheen. I use Cherry Soda from the blood sugar palette to just start fading everything out into my skin tone. That way I won't have as many harsh lines and it won't look as messy. I'm just taking my time and very slowly feathering everything out. It doesn't have to be perfect because Corpsepaint is supposed to look messy, but you do want it to look intentional. Next I'm going back in with Extraction, which is a darker red color. I'm just going back in and deepening everything up and making it look more dramatic. Using the darker red adds more dimension even before you start putting on metallics and other colors. It just helps everything look a little bit more intentional and cohesive, even though you're still going for a pretty messy look because it's corpse paint. Don't forget to make sure that your lips match your eyes, otherwise it starts to look pretty weird. Next up is the fun part where we add the duochrome pigments. I always end up putting a ton of metallics on my corpse paint looks just because I feel like it makes everything look so much cooler. Usually the way that I apply metallics like this is I'll go in first and just lay everything down with a brush. The idea is to get a pretty solid reflective base down, but it doesn't have to be completely foiled. After I trace over everything with a brush, my next move is to go back in with my fingers. The reason I do that is because you will always have a little bit of oil on your fingers, and it helps just give you a little bit more of a foiled and intense metallic look. I'm also going back in and touching everything up with a thinner brush just to kind of make everything a little bit more intentional and intense. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and apply my Black Moon Cosmetics lipstick in Armageddon. I like using a liquid lip for corpse paint looks just because it's a lot more water resistant and you can go to a show and drink beer without having to worry about your makeup coming off. Drinking beer through a straw is not cool. After I lay down the base, I go back in while it's still wet and apply some more of my duochrome pigment from Urban Decay. Next we're going to work on the face. I'm going to take some metallic red from my Blood Sugar palette and just apply it like a highlighter. I even used a highlighter brush. The idea is to just bring some more color out into the rest of my cheeks and make myself look a little bit flushed or maybe even feverish. I just want the look to be a little bit more cohesive. You know if I'm going to be going metallic though, I need to go full metallic, which means I'm going to have to go back in with my Champagne Pop highlighter and just put that all over my face to be even more metallic and shimmery. I'm also going to use my Heavy Metal Liquid Liner from Urban Decay to give myself some more glittery highlights all over my face. I'm going to do an inner corner highlight and then also put it on my lid and pat it out with my fingers, just to make sure I've got a good bit of sparkle going on. After I've finished adding dimension to the basic part of my corpse paint, I'm going to go ahead and draw the design on my forehead. This requires a steady hand. You should really take your time and map it out before you go and fill everything in. You want people to be able to tell what it's supposed to look like, even if they're not totally sure what it is. After I draw the symbol on my forehead, I'm going to go back in and do the same thing that I did with the rest of my face, where I use a couple different powders and several different colors to add dimension to the entire thing. This part is really exactly like painting. You want to build up layers of light and dark colors to make things look more dimensional. Take your time, and every once in a while it's a good idea to just sort of step back and take a look at what you're working on so that you don't overdo it. Next we're going to move on to all the finishing details and little touches that make this look polished. I'm going to start using metallics from my Urban Decay Born to Run palette. The first one I'm using is Accelerate. I'm going to use this one and a couple other coppery tones to add some more fine detail. I'm going to use Ignite as well, which is a little darker and more gold. You can use as many of these different colors as you want. The idea is to just give a little more variety to the texture and color over your whole face. Again, take your time, sit back and look at things every once in a while, and really pay attention to how you're building things up. I decide I want to take Jet, which is a flat black color, and just go back in and do some eyeliner and some other little shadows. I try to start with all the tones in the middle and kind of build up and down from there when I'm doing my makeup. That way it helps keep things really balanced. Just think of it this way, start with your base color, and then build metallics and lighter colors on top. After that, go back in and add shadows to everything. I'm going to do my eyebrows as well. When I do a monochromatic look, Corpsepaint or otherwise, I like to make sure that my eyebrows match. I just feel like it makes more sense if they're the same color as everything else than if they just sit there looking like their natural selves, even if I do like my natural eyebrows a good bit. I'm going to add some more metallic to my eyebrows as well, just so they don't get left out of the party. It makes sense that if you want your whole face to be dimensional, you have to include all of the different parts, even your eyebrows. Of course, don't forget your mascara. I use my Marc Jacobs Velvet Noir mascara pretty much every day. It's a really solid mascara and it makes my eyelashes look really nice. The next step is crucial. You need to go ahead and spray the shit out of your face with your Urban Decay All-Nighter Setting Spray. If you forget this part, you're doomed. Also not very smart. The last step is going back in with a clear gloss. I choose a really cheap one just because I use a lot of it and I don't want to be wasting a ton of money when I'm just going to show for fun. I'm just putting it all over my whole face, on my eyes, on my lips. I just want everything to be kind of shiny and wet looking. It looks a little bit gross, but that's also kind of the point. And there you go, we're all done. Alright everybody, so here's the finished look. I'm really happy with how this came out. As I move, you get little like hints of copper and gold among all of the red. One note of warning about the gloss I use. I like it because it's very cheap, it gives you very high shine, but it does run. And you start to get these little drips. Special shout out to Black Moon Cosmetics. They have like the best metallic liquid lips. They make my favorite highlighter. Like their line of highlighters is super just iridescent, like ethereal glow, and they have like cool names. Their packaging's amazing. I love everything that I've ever tried by them. So tonight I have a little assignment for y'all as part of this video. It's a thing I like to do on Mabon and at equinoxes and solstices in general, where I sit down and make a list of things that are important to me, how I've been putting energy towards them, and whether or not that's been working. And if my methods haven't been working, I make a list of things I can do to improve that. So I encourage y'all to try that little exercise out. Alright y'all, as always, I will link products down below, so if you want to go check them out. There's nothing in this video that I've used that I don't absolutely love. Pretty much everything I use for my Corpsepaint looks has to be super up to par because it goes into like the worst makeup environments with like fog, smoke machines, high humidity, heat. So anything that I use in one of these Corpsepaint tutorials, you know, is just 10 out of 10. It's gonna stick to your face all night. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, feel free to leave a comment or message me. You can also message me over on Instagram or comment there. I will be putting more images of this look over there if you want to check them out. I will also link the Wikipedia page on Mabon so you can read a little bit more about that if you'd like. As always, don't forget to go give the band some love. I've linked them below. My name's Indigo, my pronouns are they, them, and this is Heavy Metal Makeup. Happy Mabon. Hey everybody, my name's Squash. My pronouns are Squash Squash, and this is Squash Metal Makeup. My friend Beth grows a bunch of really cool vegetables in her garden. Like, she just grows like really nice vegetables, and this year she had a ton of squash. So I went to her house for her birthday party, and one of the gifts she gave us was we all got to keep a squash because she had so many, because the squash just went nuts this year apparently. And I brought it home, and me and my roommates were all sitting around, and everybody was like smoking weed, and we were all just like, man, that's a nice squash. This squash has like such good vibes, man. Yeah, that's a good squash. And so now this is like our fall mascot, is like the perfect good vibes squash. So everybody say hi to the Good Vibes Squash.